and welcome to the first ever live edition of the MLM Podcast. With us, your hosts, me, Max Lombardia, him, everyone's favourite ace man, Uncle Gino. Hello, Gino.
Hi, Max. Hi, everybody.
This is so weird. This is so strange.
We've just seen each other now for the first time ever.
Exactly. So here we are. Just something different, guys. Just a chance to try. We're just going to recap the Italy game and see how that goes. Really, not any questions from listeners or whatever. I put a tweet out just to see if anyone wanted to jump on live. I'm sure stuff will start scrolling through if people comment or message or anything in the stream. But yeah, before we go into it, look, you can get us on X. I've put this little thing at the bottom that should be flowing now, which says follow me at Lambordia Max L capital M. You can follow Gino at Gino de Blas, and then obviously you can follow the podcast on MLM Podcast 01. So yeah, look, let's get straight into it then. So Italy game, I think it'd be fair to say Italy being knocked out in quite an embarrassing manner in the round of 16 of the Euro 2024 from a defending champion point of view. Strange setup, strange formation, strange everything from Spalletti, really.
Yeah.
I mean, if I go through the lineup and then we can kind of talk about those games. So 6 changes from the game against Croatia. 1 or 2 forced, so Calafiori forced due to suspension, but a couple not forced at all. And we went back into the 4-3-3. So Donnarumma in goal, Darmian, Bastoni, Mancini, Di Lorenzo, and then Barella, Fagioli, and Cristante as our midfield 3. And then we went El Shaarawy, Scamacca, and Chiesa against their 3-4-2-1, which is kind of what they've played all tournament. And Bolo up top, Ryder and Vargas just behind, Ndoye, Frula, Xhaka, and Abisha as their midfield 4, and then Shah, Akanji, and Rodriguez with Summer in goal. So really strong defence, really organised, really, really experienced defence, and then a good midfield shaped by 2 fast fullbacks. And Vargas as well, who had a really good game, just showing how good he is off the point. So strange formation, 6 changes, Gino. What are your thoughts on that? That's huge.
Yeah, I mean, 6 changes just made no sense. Change 2 or 3, but I guess because when you make so many changes and you're trying to implement a different system and a different type of play as well, and the players haven't been used to that, I think it actually showed a little bit of panic. And again, that thing that I think we were saying in the podcast, well, on the day, we did it on the Saturday, didn't we? Just, I don't think Spalletti knew what his best team was. And I don't think he knew what his best formation was, which is quite worrying when you're in the tournament itself. And because, England playing, Carabao Cup opposition in a group, that's really telling, I think. I think Spalletti got it horribly wrong. I could understand, for example, not playing Jorginho because you need the ball turned over quicker. But then is Fagioli the right player for that? And I think it goes down as well to squad selection. Not taking Orsolini, a man who was instrumental in that Bologna season of getting them the goals and getting them into the Champions League for the first time. It kind of showed that I think squad selection was a major factor as well. So taking the wrong players, and then when he's in the tournament, not knowing what system was going to work best for the team. Fundamentally, I think our best formation was almost like that 3-5-2, which became an inverted 5-3-2. So DeMarco, he's not fit, so you've got to replace him. Calafiori was suspended, so you've got to replace him. And you'd probably say Chiesa should be starting these games, but he shouldn't be on the left-hand side. He should be on the right-hand side. So again, it just felt very, very strange. And it just felt like there was a lack of consistency and coherence, really, between what the vision of the football was and actually what was happening out on the pitch.
We've said before, haven't we, that when you play the national team, it's about finding the players in form and then trying to get the best out of them at that right moment and that right time. And this tournament in particular was strange. Spalletti was managing a club team in the way that he thought he was doing things. you can tinker with club teams. You know, you've got 7 days of training between some games. You see them in, week out. You know the characteristics of your team, their behaviours, etc. Whereas in a national team in the middle of a tournament, you really shouldn't be experimenting like that. You should kind of know what you've got.
Yeah.
Now, I know there's loads of different reasons. He took the team on late. He had 2 qualifiers to get him into there. He didn't have many games in between in terms of friendlies. I mean, he even ended up in the USA, didn't he, at one point, to try and essentially market the team to the USA part of the Italian side of heritage or whatever.
Yeah.
So lots of different reasons why. However, when you're paying a manager, you're paying him to perform or to put something together fast. And he just didn't show much kind of adaptability to what was actually in front of him. So, you know, I get some of the changes. I understand, like, DeMarco played badly. Udogie is injured, so he's got to find something from what he's got. But just this midfield, you know, Fagioli, Barella and Cristante, I mean, I've never seen them play together ever.
Yeah.
No friendlies.
No friendlies, no time together.
Exactly. Fagioli's been suspended for most of the season. I didn't think it was a bad idea taking him, fresh player with lots to prove. But, you know, in a midfield with Cristante, who, let's be honest, he's not the quality of an Italian national team, full stop.
No.
It was bad. Like, their patterns of play didn't exist. The way that they were passing to each other, they didn't know each other. It was so fragmented in the way they were playing. I don't think El Shaarawy was a bad choice, given the nature of what had been happening in the past games. And you and I talked about it on that pod before the game. Actually, we needed something a bit different.
Yeah.
And again, I understand starting Kaiser. I don't know how Zaccagni, with that logic, thought would have got into the game. But how do you not start a player who's just scored a 97th minute winner for you? I thought that was, again, another strange, you know, the guy's going to be pumped, ready to go.
The midfield was just completely wrong. And we got completely outmuscled by Switzerland. We got outplayed by Switzerland. They were turning over the ball quicker. They were playing more passes through our lines than I think we've managed all tournament so far. Switzerland, and I did say this, that Switzerland were going to punish us because they've exhibited the skill set and the technical ability for the last 15, 20 years of actually being a really world-class side. And I mean, they are an invented nation. Let's just be clear about this. Switzerland is an invented nation.
Yeah.
But there's no shame in that, in then doing what you do in terms of your recruitment of your players. Granit Xhaka and Shaqiri are not Swiss, but they've got Swiss passports. So I think this speaks to a wider point of Italy, and like with the Oriundi, for example, you know, people getting annoyed that Oriundi is selected and going, listen, I'll get the play. If Lautaro Martinez had an Italian granddad and wasn't playing for Argentina, I'd pick him every day of the week and twice on any given Sunday for Italy. Do you see what I mean?
100%. Yeah.
So when you look at what Switzerland is doing and how they're actually attracting certain players and bringing them into the squad and actually creating a system from youth academy level, just even youth clubs, all the way up to the professional game, where a lot of these players don't play in Switzerland as well. I think there's only 2 players in the Swiss squad that play in Switzerland, or 3 players that play in Switzerland. The rest play elsewhere. There is a certain culture and a certain identity with which they are playing at, which was always going to punish us. And again, I think it goes back to our selections of players. Orsolini should have been in the squad, definitely. Zaniolo, was he injured?
Zaniolo was going to be there, but he was injured.
He was injured. And we also lost, we lost Scalvini.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, before the tournament. So really, would we have had the Calafiore aura without, if Scalvini was playing in it? I think Calafiore showed what he was capable of. But again, I think there was just this, it was just wrong. Just everything about it, from tactics to formation to everything else. It felt wrong. And fundamentally, we just got it horribly wrong. And we know, as Milan fans, what stubborn Tuscan coaches are like.
Yeah. And he was doing his best Pioli impression, I swear, you know.
Well, Allegri impressions as well. You know, everybody was the enemy. But fundamentally, actually, I think the players saw you as an enemy as well. And these stories coming out now of a lot of people were quite annoyed with Fajoli being in the squad because they saw him as being the snitch on Tonali.
Yeah.
You know, Tonali in that midfield, Tonali would have started over Cristante and Fajoli any day of the week.
Easily.
You could have played Jorginho, Tonali, and Barella, and you'd already have you'd have a much better version of a midfield.
That in itself sounds 100 times better. Just Jorginho in the middle, Barella one side, Tonali the other. You've got a much better midfield. Yeah.
Verratti wasn't selected because he's playing out in wherever he's playing. Saudi Arabia, is it?
No, he's not in the. He's the Qatar.
In Qatar, right? So he's in Qatar. Yeah, but what about Kante then, who's playing for France?
It's the manager, isn't it? It's
all again, if you had Verratti, Barella, Tonali, you want to talk about better technical players than those three, really. Barella can be so hit and miss. Tonali was always solid, and Verratti is just a master. So again, the selection of players was wrong going into this tournament. And that's where I think the problem started, because he didn't have a clear plan of, I'm going to play 3-5-2 with inverted 5-3-2. He was trying to play 4-3-3 with players that weren't really 4-3-3 system.
No, and he took like 10 defenders for a 3 at the back approach as well.
Yeah.
And he took a load of fullbacks as well. And then he just panicked almost and went into this 4-3-3 that it wasn't really a 4-3-3. It was a bit of a hybrid of this, a bit of a hybrid of that. And also, we talked about selection. We'll finish on selection. We'll go through the game. So Gianluca Mancini, Buongiorno sat on the bench, not a single minute played, having played in a really defensively solid Torino all season. I don't understand why Buongiorno never saw the pitch. And I also don't understand how Mancini starts over him. The 3-5-2 was screaming to be played in this game with a Buongiorno, Bastoni, even Darmian. Even Darmian at centre-back would have been better with your two attacking fullbacks. We never saw Bellanova either. He never got a minute. Strange from Spalletti. Almost so arrogant, like we said, that Tuscan arrogance, that he thought better or he could see something that maybe a lot of other people couldn't. The thing you talked about there about stories coming out as well, that only happens in a fractured unit, doesn't it? So all of a sudden, all these issues and all these problems. Now he's confirmed, Spalletti is confirmed to stay. There's going to be a presidential potential, I think it's re-election, so there's going to be a chance to elect a new president of the FIGC. I'm not sure that will happen. I think Gravina might still.
I don't think Gravina ends up leaving or ends up getting voted out, which is again a major problem of the Italian presidency and the Italian way that football, the way that Italian football's run. It's a major issue.
But trying to blame the Serie A teams as well for Italy's downfall. I understand there will be something in there about the use of players, but you've done nothing to make it easier for them. You've done nothing. You've no incentive. You've not incentivized anything. You've essentially made it harder to play Italian players. And now, because you've removed, I said this in my reaction, because you've now removed the Decreto Crescita, you think you fixed something somewhere. You've literally done nothing. You've done absolutely nothing to support it. Euro 2020 or 2021, whatever year you want to call it, is almost a, it's an outlier. It's an outlier to what's really happened in Italy for the last 10 to 15 years, I suppose. So I think with that,
although my caveat is we did play the best football in that tournament. Like, we deserved to win it because we were playing the best football. Our form went down when we lost Spinazzola in the quarters to Belgium. Okay. Because Mancini relied so heavily on the fullbacks pressing high and creating numerical overloads. But we did deserve to win. That wasn't something that was like a fluke. And you're not saying that it was a fluke, but I do understand in what you're saying that it is an anomaly. I think fundamentally that, there is a wider issue in Italian football, which is what you're saying. And it's about how it is addressed, really, moving forwards.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's not the Euro itself was great, and like you said, it wasn't a fluke due to the way we're playing it. But if you look to the years previous and you look at the years post, it's strange that we managed to do so well in like a small peak period. Because I think Mancini even went on like a massive run of unbeaten games before we even went into.
Well, yeah. So we ended up winning. What was it? 36 games. We beat the Spanish record, and then we lost in La Finalissima against Argentina, and that's what stopped.
Yeah.
It being 37 or 38 or something. So I think, again, the Mancini record and the Italy wins, it showed what is possible. But again, I think that comes down to selecting the right kinds of players. Italy has got a striker issue. Let's not beat about the bush here. Italy has got a striker issue. Italy technically actually does have a defender issue. Because when you look at the defenders coming through right now, Bastoni and Calafiori are kind of anomalaic in themselves. You're trying to find the next generation of Italian defenders. We're not producing the volume that we used to. Midfield-wise, we've got a lot of midfielders, but they're all very same, all very similar. So, it's where do you start? It's what do you do, to move it forward? That's going to be the big question, really.
Yeah, I don't think they have the answers yet, or they've even started formulating it. To be
and I don't think they will with this presidency. I think I sent a tweet out, and I think I sent it to you. But the way I would look at it is, it's like, well, if you change the presidency to somebody like a Demetrio Albertini, who's had these ideas for quite a long time, and you put somebody in like a Maldini, you put somebody in like Del Piero, that basically get brought in to oversee the development, youth development, and the relationships with clubs in order to build like third teams for clubs. Cesc Fabregas was saying this in an interview, that the leap between the youth sector of a club and then going professionals in Italy is too big. Whereas in Spain, they've already got their third teams.
Yeah.
They've got these junior teams like in the third divisions and the second divisions, like Barcelona has, like Real Madrid has. Well, actually, Real Madrid doesn't actually. But I know that Barcelona has, and quite a few of the other clubs do. You need to do that. You need to create that, because that is what's going to give young players like Camarda and Liberali time to be thrown into the big boy teams and to grow quickly, because you need them to grow quickly. But this idea that Camarda is going to be your striker for 2026, it's way too soon. He's only 16 now. And don't forget, in Italy, you can't play in the professional game until you're, 17 and so many ever months, days and weeks or something like that. You can't play
I think you can play early. Kamada's already...
Yeah, but he had to get permit, but it had to be signed off permission by not his parents, but by the federation.
I see. Okay.
So you need to change these things, and you need to bring these rules in, and you basically need to say, and see, for my thing, it would be, okay, each club has to have 10 Italians in their squad. Now that can sound really Nigel Farage, Brexity. Oh, keep the Italians in the Italian league.
Yeah.
But it's not that. What it is, it's basically saying, before you go looking abroad for your players, you've got your youth players, and they can be part of your squad. Okay? And then you've got to field them at least 5 times in a season. Not all at the same time, but 5 times. And what you start to do is you start to create this culture of, let's try the lad. Let's try the young lad. Let's try and get them out there. Let's try and, develop that talent. Again, it does sound very kind of, like I say, nationalist, Farage kind of thing, but it's nothing to do with that. It's more actually about how you change the Italian game in order to reward youth Italian players. The UK doesn't have an issue with bringing in English youth players into their professional teams, even though that's the Premier League and they've got all the money in the world. Spain doesn't have any issues. France doesn't have any issues. Portugal doesn't have any issues. It just seems to be that the Italian and Germany doesn't have any issues. Definitely not. So it just seems to be what Germany does really well is they actually recruit from other nations really well.
Yeah.
And the youth players really well. You know, Bellingham, Sancho. There's now 3 players going from Italy who are ending up in Germany and at Dortmund, age 16, 17. One of which is like an Atalanta youth player. It's like, why is not an Italian club picking these guys up? And because there's no incentive to.
And you know, like you said, you know, you create a quota of how many Italian players you should have, but the rules are then, you know, you don't have to play all of them at once. Like you don't have to play 10 Italian players at once. It's just how you embed them into everyday professional football life, and then how they get some minutes and time. I was thinking just then as you were talking, and you were talking about the different nations, I was thinking most of those nations have a young player who's doing well. So if you think of like Germany, Musiala, for example, he's not very old, is he? If you think of England, Bellingham, he's only 21. Like he's played at Dortmund, he's gone to Real Madrid. You think of Spain, Saka. Yeah, well, there's a host of them in England.
Host them, yeah.
Think of Spain, you've got that Yamal. You think of Holland, you've got Xavi Simons, whatever his name is. You think of Turkey, you've got Arda Güler. You've got all these nations have got these little pocket players who are infringing into proper football whilst they're youth players. If you look at Italy, there's not a single player in any of that list that is a youth or a young player that's just starting or has shown some.
No,
there's nothing. There's nothing there.
I did just take a screen grab, but I didn't know if there was a way to actually share it. But if you look at the 26 full-man team for the Italy Euro 2024 squad, we had Donnarumma, Vicario, Mere, right? Then you had defenders, even. Giovanni Di Lorenzo, Di Marco, Buongiorno, Mancini, Darmian, Calafiori, Bellanova, Bastoni, Cambiasso, Gatti. So there's 10. Then you midfield, Barella, Frattesi, Jorginho, Lorenzo Pellegrini, Cristante, Fagioli, and Florunshu. Then forwards, Retegui, Raspadori, Chiesa, Scamacca, Zaccagni, El Shaarawy.
I'm just trying to work out how to present it on this thing.
Does he press that plus button, screen share, is it? Or
yeah, that'll share my screen though, wouldn't it? It won't share the picture you've got unless you can share screen from your end.
Let's see. I'm just worried about what comes up now. Oh, here we go. We'll share that.
Close everything first.
Okay. Yes. Can you see this?
Oh, something's come up. What's that? Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Look at that.
So it, you know, again, when you look at that squad, who's under 21?
I mean, is maybe Fagioli? He's probably under 21, isn't he?
No.
He's not?
No.
I don't think there's... Is there a single player then? No.
Nicola Fagioli. Beans, Mr. Beans.
Yeah.
He's 23. There's not a single player. There's not a single player under 21.
No.
And actually, I'm just trying to figure out. I'll just stop sharing this now. Stop sharing screen.
There we go. Okay.
Average age Italy squad 2024. So the average age has come down from 27.7 to 26.5.
But it's not youth players, is it? It's just having an average of players at a particular age. That's all it is.
So the average age, for example, this is weird. The average age at Milan is 30. AC Milan is 30. At Inter Milan, it's 36. I don't understand how it's so big at Inter Milan. Average age? Seriously? That's a bit weird. That can't be right. Transfer Market's got it all wrong. Although Transfer Market, we want you to still sponsor us, so please don't.
Yeah, they're not replying though. So
they're not replying. So it doesn't matter. I can slate them now. So So yeah, it's a wider problem, you know, as well. So if that information is correct, that the average age of like the Inter Milan, who's just won the league, is 36, there's a wider problem because it's showing that youth talent isn't coming through. If I was to just check now, I'm just really curious now. So if I was to check something like Leverkusen, who got to the Champions League final.
Europa.
Oh, Europa. Bayern Leverkusen. Oh, it was Bayern Leverkusen. My internet keeps. By the way, Matt Hummels is still being linked with us, isn't he?
Yep. The transfer that would make the most sense in history needs to happen ASAP, as quickly as possible. There's loads of stuff though, like just this week, couple of days since Italy got knocked out as well.
Yeah.
Because they've got nothing to talk about in terms of international now. They're just throwing stuff left, right, and centre at the moment.
Yeah.
And
so
Xerxes been on and off 3 days in a row. So
here we go. I'm going to do a side by side for you. Well, I can't, but I'll just share this screen. This is a cool little function.
It's not bad, is it?
We've just discovered it. It's like monkeys discovering fire. So,
what's this button do? There we go. Yep.
There we go. So, you know, you can see here, Bayer Leverkusen, average age is 28. Borussia Dortmund's 24. Now, Bayern Munich's 33, Leipzig's 25, and Stuttgart's 32. If we were to compare that to, if I was just to type in average age, what did I put in before? Italian sides. No. That
inside dishes.
Did that side dishes? Of course it did. Of course it did. I can't even remember what I actually searched for. Bayer Leverkusen average age.
What Serie A average age maybe? There we go.
There we go.
What have we got?
So that's oldest to youngest. Let's do it the other way. Oh God, no. Oh, there's the average age there. That's 24. That's why it was good. That's why it was looking like it was horribly wrong.
Oh, because it went the oldest, not the youngest. 35.
Yeah, it went the different season as well. So if we go like this, it wasn't showing me this information before, by the way, when I was making my statement.
They've heard you, Transfer Market.
They've heard Transfer Market is absolutely mugging me off right now. They average ages. There you go. It was different before. It was showing it as different. So my apologies to everybody. 28.7. This is wrong. Or it's right. It wasn't showing that though for the German one, was it?
No.
This thing.
Gravina's got his paws on it, and that's not.
Yeah. Anyway, that went horribly wrong.
Anyway, we're saying, aren't we, that the average age in Italy is higher, and that's why
the average age is higher. So you're not allowing in younger players to come through. I will find out that information and put it in a tweet somewhere. So my apologies to anybody who might be watching this going, what a clown. He doesn't know what he's on about. But yeah.
No one's doing that. So should we talk about the Italy game? Because we've gone on a proper tangent like we do.
Let's talk the Italy game if we must.
We've got to half an hour. We haven't even talked about it. So
can we just say it was just a bad game? It was just, listen, we don't have to talk about it. It was just a really bad game.
One of those moments where you're like hiding behind your t-shirt for most of it.
But we said if Italy plays and really tries to play and can get a goal and really push Switzerland, we will accept that, even if you go out, but you fought for it. But there was no fight. There was no connection between midfield and going forwards. There was no connection between defense and midfield. It was properly disjointed.
Yeah. It started badly as well. So Switzerland was straight in, weren't they? They were straight in, possession based, organised. Their banks of 3-4 were really clear in the midfield and defence. And it didn't take long, 24 minutes before Mbola had a really good chance that Donnarumma pulled a great save from. 37th minute, Frula goal. Vargas cutting from the left, great bit of play, straight across the area. I don't know what our defenders are doing, but Frula's there for a tap-in, essentially. As soon as he gets his foot on it, it's in the back of the net. Yeah. And we're 1-0 down. You know, I'm
easily
shocked it lasted that long, to be honest, 37 minutes.
Yeah.
Half-time comes along. God knows what I'm thinking he's going to do. I've watched an awful half of football. I'm thinking the manager's going to change God knows what. He puts Zaccagni on for El Shaarawy, 46th minute. That's it. 46th minute, Vargas scores a really good goal. Again, Cristante, I don't know what he's doing. He's leaving all kinds of space for Vargas to take his time, put the ball to one side and essentially curl it into the top corner. Donnarumma nowhere near. I don't think he'd save that if he tried that 10 times over. It's a really good shot, literally in the perfect corner.
Yeah.
And then kind of what follows is what's confused me about Spalletti in the way that he works. So 51st minute, we hit the crossbar, and that's from Shah. So that's a ball over the top from Fagioli and a Shah header onto the crossbar. And then the changes start. So Retegui comes on for Barella in the 64th minute. 74th minute, we hit the post from Scamacca. It's a Zaccagni header, but I thought it was offside. So I think it would have been called offside anyway. 75th minute, Cambiasso comes on for Darmian and Pellegrini comes on for Cristante. Again, no idea what he's doing there. Makes no sense to me. Nothing really happens until the 86th when Fratesi comes on for Fagioli. And then the game kind of peters and ends there. So it was, I was trying to find the right word to describe the game from start to finish. And I think the only way to describe it is embarrassing. I think it was one of the most embarrassing games I've ever seen. I think when you said no fight, and we said, didn't we, before, we just need to show something, a bit of grinda, a bit of spit, a bit of something. We showed absolutely nothing.
Toothless.
And also, you know, we talk about quality, and that's the right thing to talk about. The quality of this team wasn't as good as it has been. However, I then watched teams like Slovenia, Slovakia, even Austria, you know, organised, compact. You could clearly see their, you know, Slovakia against
two banks of four.
Yeah, 4-4-2. You could see it as one press, the other one came back in slot, and it was constant. So well organised, and they were able to grind those results. Okay, Slovakia unfortunate with a 95th minute bicycle goal, but they were so well organised throughout the whole game that they gave themselves a good chance. And I sat there scratching my head going, why couldn't Italy at least have been compact and organised to at least had a chance against, I don't know, we're talking about Switzerland. We're not talking about the second coming of Brazil. We're talking about Switzerland.
We're talking about Switzerland, who I actually put as a dark horse for semi-finals, didn't I? Actually,
yeah, you did. You actually said dark horse for winner.
For winner, I did say dark horse for winner,
for a random team. Yeah,
and I do think that England are going to really, really struggle against them, because if that midfield and front three play the way that they do against a very mediocre defense and goalkeeper, there's going to be issues, right? They're going to get goals, and England has shown that it will concede goals. Pickford is not a very good keeper. I think Pickford is just a lad who you see on the town on a Friday night with really skinny jeans, you know, looking like kind of half a pirate with his dodgy hairstyle. I mean, I can't talk. I've got a bit of a bouffon, but I don't care. He's not big. He doesn't claim. He's just very mouthy and shouty. He's like a V2 of Joe Hart. Do you know what I mean? So, but the way that Switzerland play so quickly and through the lines, that will trip up a lot of very good teams. Okay. So you've got to be, which is why like a 3-5-2 would have suited us better. Full stop. Because, you know, it's a full stop. You don't need to say more. But a 3-5-2, what it essentially does is it packs out your midfield. You can double team the likes of Granit Xhaka. We weren't doing any of that. We had nothing. And they will. I'm sorry, I've got really, because of my throat and it's itchy and everything. So my apologies. But there's a wider issue. There's just a wider issue in all of this that kind of speaks to the problems that Italy had against a very well-organized team. And our issue is we don't have right now the quality of players, I feel, or the quality of players weren't selected, or the right players weren't selected in order to kind of counter that. But I do think that the responsibility 50% lies on Spalletti. 50-60% lies on Spalletti, if not more. Okay. How players approach a game, how they feel in the camp. You know, I mean, did you see this press conference that he gave afterwards where he was like, "What's your name?" I mean, all it was missing, genuinely, for it to be some sort of criminal film was, "And I know where you live."
He talked the big game, but he didn't deliver at all. He did not deliver.
You know, he could have easily gone to something like a Man City after a year, for example. You know, his stock was so high because of what he did at Napoli. Is Spalletti now being found out a little bit? I mean, Jose Mourinho kind of always used to call him out to say he was like the press's darling.
Yeah. I don't think he's calling out. I don't think he realised what he was getting himself in for. I think he's such a club manager. He's so used to the way that he's operated, and he managed to get what he needed out of that Napoli team, the cherry on the top, didn't he, to win that Scudetto after God knows how many years. I think he thought he was just going to walk into Italy, put a few things together, light the cigarette, as they say, and then it'd be fine. Working on the cocktails of having won that league, but he's struggled massively. And I think, like you said there in press conferences as well, just shut up. You've just been knocked out against Switzerland. You've played so badly for most of the Euros. Maybe one half against Albania, you kind of saved yourself where you came back from being 1-0 down. Constant changes, constant problems, constant mistakes. Players bitching about you left, right, and centre, all kinds of problems. Just calm down. I think he needs to take a slice of his humble pie. I don't think he should be sacked. I don't think that's the right thing to do.
No, I think he should leave.
Okay, well, okay, all right, fine. So I think he should stick at it, but I think he needs to learn from his mistakes. If we play a couple of qualifiers with the stupid 4-3-3 again, players out of position, stupid, those really strange substitutions, those Pioli-esque substitutions that make no sense until the 85th minute, he needs to go. He just needs to go. Look, I'm not going to change this. I need to be out of it.
Yeah.
So look, we've come out. We're knocked out Euro 2024. We can't win them all, can we? We cannot win them all.
We can't win them all.
But we can start again. So, I just hope that some of these youth players do explode a little bit. We can have our version of it. Is Kamada going to be that guy? I think the position that he plays, we're asking a lot from a 16-year-old centre forward.
Yeah.
But someone like Liberali, someone like Zeroli, just the Milan ones I can think of, they can make their way into these teams. I look forward to seeing what they possibly can do.
I think they need to go to somewhere like a Fiorentina, a Monza, and a Bologna.
Yeah.
Right now, on loan. Like, keep him out on loan for 2-3 years. The way that Totti went to Salernitana, by the way, everybody thinks Totti was just this one club man. He played at Salernitana for a year or 2 years. I think it was a season, and then he was called back in under Zeman. But or go and play. Don't play in Serie C. Go and play in Serie B. Go and play for like the Pescaras. Go and play for Siena's. The teams that are going to be competing for trying to get back into Serie A, because that's where you see the hunger. And that's where you see the players who know how to fight. Okay.
Yeah.
You're 17, 18, and you're in those environments. First and foremost, you realize not everything is about owning, not everything is about having valuables. It's actually about playing the game. It's about toughening up. It's about knowing how to stand up for yourself and answering back, especially in Serie B especially in Serie B, because in Serie B, the stakes are higher. You don't want to drop to Serie C, and your mission is to get to Serie A. So that's one element of it. The secondly, having these youth clubs coming along now that are in like what Milan's getting and what looks like Juve is going to get as well. Your top 5-6 clubs in Serie A should have a team in Serie C or Lega Pro. Full stop. And it should be your youth coaches, and they should be doing it. Bonera's taken on this role now for Milan under 23, essentially, to go and manage in those leagues. Yes, that's what you need to do. But your really good players, your Camadas, your Liberales, your Zerolis, they should be in Serie A right now on the bench. And if they can't get into the Milan squad, I'll tell you what you do. You go to your Paladinos, your Italianos, and you basically say, guys, here's some players, right? Bring them through. Because fundamentally, the Italian manager in the next 15 to 20 years is going to look like Italiano or Palladino. If their career trajectory stays pretty stable, that's who you're looking at as the Italy manager in the next 10 to 15, without beating too much about the bush. Who else is really out there? You could probably argue Thiago Motta. Thiago Motta's just got the Juve job. Thiago Motta's probably going to get the Real Madrid job, if not something like a Premier League side. But in 10 years' time, if he's free and he still manages to have the Thiago Motta ball, experience, we're talking 10 years, right? A lot can happen in 10 years. But the point is, you've got to look at the project for Italy as a 10, 15-year plan from today or from when we went out. The youth clubs and the youth systems are better developed. There is an actual formal plan of making players run at players. Because I'm not sure about you, but apart from Chiesa, who in that midfield can run at players and take them on?
No, we didn't see it, did we? We didn't see any of it.
One player in a squad of 26. You could argue, I said his name before, sorry, the player that's injured. Zaniolo. He can. Right? 1, 2 players. Mose Keane's going to be playing it at Fiorentina. If he finds the form that we think he's got, he's going to be one to watch to be back in the Italy squad. And he's only, 24, 25?
No, he's young. He's still young. Yeah.
Still young. So really, it's about having that plan already for 10 to 15 years' time. And if that 10 to 15 years' time, it looks like you can bring in a Thiago Motta, or you're looking at Italiano, you're looking at Palladino. I can't really think of many other Italian managers right now, Italian young managers right now, who will have that level of knowledge and that level of experience and will have known what the procedure is for the next 10, 15 years of what that youth talent is available and can do. That becomes a different thing altogether.
Absolutely. You're spot on. You don't want any cortomuso then for the next 5 years,
right? Was it you that? No, it was my mate Greg who messaged me. I wish I could screen share that message because you should have seen my response. But basically, he was talking about like Allegri being the coach, and I just went, I can't ever see that happening. I can't see Allegri doing that. I could see Allegri taking on like a Premier League role and winning games 1-0 and getting fired after the first season or something, right? Even if he wins the league. The dream is, if I said to you, who is your dream Italy manager to come in right now? I've already got it. I'll tell you what, here we go. This is how much we haven't scheduled this.
What are we going to write it down?
I'm gonna write it down, and you're gonna say it, okay? But just here we go. We've got to try this.
Okay.
I'll write it a different way. Who would be your dream Italy manager today to come in?
Carlo Ancelotti. It's a no-brainer, isn't it? Absolute no-brainer. Right. Okay. So let's wrap up a bit. We've got to 45 minutes now.
Oh, have we? Good God! Right.
Yeah. Well, this is what we do.
This is what we do. We just ramble. Sorry. We'll tighten this. We'll tighten it up for the next season. We'll tighten it up.
Normally I sit there and I write out a little plan and we like, do this, do that, and then we kind of wander through it. I
take you off script. I take you off script. We're going to tighten this up for the next season, and I'll get dressed. I'll wear a nice shirt for this.
I've put my Tonali shirt on today. That's you, this is.
I'll wear a shirt and tie.
Okay,
so
all right.
I'll wear shorts underneath or something, but I'll wear a shirt and tie, just so I can bring in that visibility there.
That directorship.
The ZOG. I'll dress like a Zio. I'll dress like a Zio.
Look, before we go, I know we kind of touched a little bit at the last time, but we were in a bit of a rush and we didn't get a proper chance to talk about it. Fonseca, first press conference in a week or so.
Don't care. What's he going to tell me? I want to do my best at Milan. We've got a project. We've got an idea. I know we can do better.
It's going to be very scripted. I think you're right.
I'll write it for him.
Any thoughts on Fonseca now that he's definitely here? We know he's coming. We can see, although you can't believe everything you read, you can start to see snippets of what the transfer market will look like. It will be
what transfer
go for the big
market?
Name, can't afford it, down it goes. Go for the big name, can't afford it, down it goes.
What was it you tweeted the other day? Yeah, I'm going to share this because this is actually just embarrassing for you. It's not embarrassing at all, but it's. Matt.
I tweet a lot of nonsense. So which one is it?
It was brilliant. It was. You said I wrote this last. I tweeted.
Oh, what the AC Mercato stuff from last year.
Here we go. AC Mercato. I'm going to share this now.
All right.
So here we go. Screen share.
I've got so
good. Here we go.
When it comes through, oh, there it is. There we go. Yeah, so 18 Mercado guys.
Open talks, prioritized, shortlisted, watched, mentioned, seduced, interested, considered, admired, and targeted. Love it. And then discussed.
There's a lots of players. If Discussed could keep a couple of clean sheets, we'd be all right. I think.
Yeah.
So the Mercado's all over the place. The rumours are, God knows what's actually true and what isn't. But what looks like is, the Mercado seems to be based around trying to get some decent players and then kind of falling short a little bit in terms of value, commissions, etc. The only thing I would say is, and maybe this is a bit naive of me, is if we judge it on the other teams who are rushing, we're going to be a little bit annoyed. I think we just need to be a bit more patient. So Juve, for example, getting, was it Douglas Luiz from Aston Villa?
Yeah.
And Thuram from Nice. Those are two really good signings. And they managed to offload, I think, Erling Jr. and someone else to try and get the value down for Douglas Luiz. That's some great Mercado, but we need to just be patient because we don't work like that. So I think we need another couple of weeks. I'd love to see if anyone will be official before Fonseca's press conference. I don't think it will. I think the excuse will be new manager will make a plan together. You could say Juve have Thiago Motta, but I think Giuntoli is quite famous for getting a move on and doing it quite well, to be fair to him.
Well, it's strange because last year we moved fast and we got players.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
We moved fast and we got a ton of players. So we're kind of like regressing.
I think the Euros and the Copa America will be the excuse because there's more international football and we can't close agents, and Xerxes' decision will be after the Euros, even though he's
also I have to say, Tijani Reinders is having an absolute blinder of a tournament.
He was cracking last night, wasn't he?
What is going on?
Once I changed the commentary, because I wasn't going to listen to Mr. Dull, boring, and I put it to 5 Live, it was much better. I even heard what was going on at Wimbledon at the same time, so it's much better than listening to Danny Murphy and whatever the bloke's name.
Danny Murphy can get in a boat and swim to the... Anyway. Never have I ever wanted to take a piece of 4B2 to somebody's head as much. The Plazzy Scouser. He can absolutely do one.
If you hit it hard enough, his voice might change. That's.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Your career was never as good as what you hoped it would be, Danny. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Why is that our issue?
Have I got an Italy shirt up here? Hold on. Wait a second. Danny Murphy, I've got one thing for you to say to you. You see this badge? There's 4 stars on it, mate.
Yeah.
4 stars. So every time you take a little dig at the Italian team, for whatever reason you need to do it, I just want to remind you that 4 World Cups and 2 Euros, fella. 58 years. Even if they win this tournament, you got a long way to go, mate. So just pipe down when you start being all condescending and big Billy Big Bollocks around players diving and whatever, because after the game I watched as well, if we talk about people exaggerating dives, I think you need to look closer to home, mate. Anyway. Right, should we wrap it up there, Gino? Should we move on? Should we leave it at that? Ooh, have we lost Gino? Oh, we might have lost Gino there. Turn him off, turn him back on again. Danny Murphy killed the feed. Right, okay, look, guys, I think we'll end it there. I'll see if I can get Gino on one more time. But he has gone slow on me here, so let me just turn it off. So, look, guys, thank you very much for joining the MLM Podcast for its first ever live episode. Maybe we might get Gino back. He's in a very handsome freeze frame right now. What a look that is. I've been your host, Max Lombardia. He's been everyone's favourite AC Milan uncle, Gino. We'll be back next week, maybe the week after. We might try and do live again. We might do the usual format. You can get me on X, as you can see scrolling at the bottom of the screen, at Lombardia Max, capital I, capital M. You can get Gino at Gino de Blas. You can also get us on at MLM Podcast 01. Please like, rate, subscribe. Follow the podcast on Apple and Spotify. We're also on Overcast. And yeah, thank you very much if you listen. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you for bearing with us for our experiment as well. And I can see Gino's camera slowly moving, but not properly. And we will see you again very shortly. Thanks a lot, guys, and have a lovely week. Forza Milan. And Gino says bye.